3, 2, 1. I can't believe you're listening to Sardonicast. I cannot believe you're listening to Sardonicast. How could you have done this? How could you have listened to Sardonicast? Hi, I'm Adam from Your Movie Sucks, and this is Sardonicast, and that was a lovely quote from the masterpiece film known as Fateful Findings, one of my favorite movies ever. Neil Breen.
Directed by Neil Breen.
Yeah.
I'm Ralph from Ralph the Movie Maker. YouTube.com/Ralph the Movie Maker.
Oh, you said both.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Not sure how I feel about that one, Ralph. I'm Alex from IHE. How are we doing today, folks?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. So we're 2/3 through 2020.
I know.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It makes me want to vomit. Where's this year gone?
Because I don't mind. Because I want this year to be over quicker. I like that it's going by quickly.
Yeah, I guess. I'm very conflicted on it.
At the same time, I'm kind of... I want to be forming new memories, but I'm not. I'm just kind of doing the same thing over and over, which is why it's going by so quickly. However, this past month, I've been doing like the online film festival thing, which has actually made things go by slower, but in a good way.
Oh.
Been seeing lots of festival movies through the internet, and I've got press for Fantasia, which just finished, and I got press for TIFF, Toronto Film Festival, and I'm working on getting press accreditation for Vancouver. So lucky to be in Canada because a lot of the good film festivals are here all in a row too. Just sucks that I couldn't have done Cannes, I guess, but whatever.
Maybe when everything isn't ruined.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of these things are because of the online component, because, you know, people are worried about these films being recorded and torrented. A lot of the distributors will ask for certain restrictions to take place, like limited ticket sales or geo-locking for these films. Right. So I'm just lucky that I live in Canada for these things, because a lot of these aren't available to people outside Canada, which sucks because I was hoping to maybe see what the London Film Fest was doing, but that's probably going to be geo-locked too. Whatever.
Yeah, I can't really blame them.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I'm happy I'm getting anything, really.
Yeah, exactly.
I was looking into Con, but that didn't work out. So
yeah, I know.
I'm going to not say anything and hold my breath and just wait maybe next year.
Yeah.
If the festivals are even open.
Yeah, exactly. Can is so early that in the year that I'm not exactly expecting it to happen again next year.
No, I'm not either.
TIFF is actually this year still doing some in-person screenings. It's very limited, but they're actually still doing a physical festival with the addition of some drive-ins, but yeah, mostly just like extremely reduced capacity and reduced shows and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I'm surprised about that. So we'll see what happens next year. Anyway, we all saw a film from what year? The 70s? 80s?
81.
80s, yeah.
81.
Oh my God.
It was filmed in the 70s. This is a classic that the first one of us to cover was Ralph. It's a cult classic.
Yeah.
A cult classic is
I
a
guess
classic.
a cult classic.
Yeah, Ralph recommended this a while back. I had heard of it
Ralph
before.
recommends, a long time ago.
Why don't you give the little synopsis here, Ralph?
Yeah.
Me? Oh, I thought you would, Alex, because you just saw it. But it's a
really
movie
matter.
about this guy named Neil Marshall, and he lives with his family in a nature preserve with a bunch of lions, and it's like 150 real lions, I think, and tigers and like panthers. And
Untrained.
It's just them living with them, untrained. They try to have like a story. They have a script, but usually the lions mess up the scene, and it's just like they get attacked or they run around the house like eating a zebra carcass. It's kind of sick, but also kind of funny.
It's insanity.
I think it's actually insane to watch. Yeah,
it's mental. I was surprised that it's listed as a comedy, like on IMDb, and I guess in a sick, twisted way, it kind of is. But I think like the intentional attempts at comedy are very flat. Like it's such a strange experience because I thought this movie was like a documentary or something before going in, because I'd watched Ralph's video when he first released it, but I'd forgotten when I sat down to watch it. I found it on YouTube, actually. I was really struggling to get like a good copy of it. I just found the full thing on YouTube, so if anyone wants to see it, check it out on there. But yeah, it is a wacky movie where I think most of the intrigue lies behind the story behind the production, more so than the actual kind of like narrative, if you can even use that word. It's more just the insane. Like I've never seen a skateboarding lion before, and I can say I have.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense, the movie. There's like a lot of really scary situations he puts his family in. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're dickheads for doing it. That's what I thought immediately, because like my first thought was like, wait, if you know anything about, like, if you've seen any documentaries about lions, you know the way like lions behave and the way their kind of packs work, and they just have like tens of male lions all like in the same space, and they're a dominant animal. So of course they're clashing constantly, and they kind of say that no animals were harmed in the making of the movie, but I don't know if that's totally accurate if you're like being honest about the situation.
You see a lot of movies that say that, and the definition of that is really debatable depending on the person. But yeah, there was the scene where they were like where they imitated them getting shot and falling over. So I watched all the special features, and for that, apparently, like, there were, you know, to do checkups on them or to like give them shots or whatever medical reasons, they would need to, I guess, apply some sort of, what's the word, tranquilizer to the animals. And so they would give them a shot, but on this day when they were filming this thing, instead of just like giving them a shot, they gave him a shot and then waited a couple seconds and then just gave him a little push off the fucking cliff.
Oh, I wonder how they did those.
It was like dirt. I don't know. It's probably a bad idea because they're falling uncontrolled. But I guess when they say no animals were harmed, they mean, well, they fell, but they didn't break anything.
Yeah,
that's probably what they mean. But
Noel Marshall is like running in between them. Noel Marshall's his name.
Yeah, you said Neil Marshall before, which is the director of the new Hellboy and also The Descent.
Yes.
So Noel Marshall, but he's like running in between the lions, and he gets bit at one point, and it was really bad. And he was trying to get like close-ups of his hand bleeding with like a hole in it.
Yeah,
it's, like the guy was actually nuts making this movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no health and safety standards. There's just this film could not exist in any other time aside from that kind of stint in the 70s when it was shot. It took like Boyhood length of time to make, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a decade's worth of filming.
Yeah, it took a while.
Basically, the start of this was that they were adopting rescue lions and tigers and whatever. So the Noel Marshall and Tippi Hedren were married at the time, and their kids were the kids in the movie. So they literally just filmed their family, and these kids and this family had actually spent the last like almost decade living with these big cats anyway. So they were already used to it and acclimatized. Like, these kids grew up in this environment, which is a terrible idea even if you're not filming a movie, which is a really fucking stupid idea to just have your kids like growing up with these wild animals, obviously. And they're untrained. And so they just basically like improvised the whole fucking movie. They had like this vague idea of a script and things that they wanted to get done. But really they just like, they took the plot of each scene, or I guess the conclusion of each scene, just wherever the animals took them. So like if they got bit, they just were like, okay, I guess that's a part of it. My character got bit now. Or like they sank the boat. There were like 3 or 4 boats that just got fucking destroyed.
They would try to have dialogue, and then the boat would just
in the middle of
capsize.
An
elephant attacks them at one point, and they're just like running away. Yeah. But those parts are funny, even though it's like,
it's hilarious.
People are getting hurt. Yeah.
It's
so bizarre. It's just so bizarre to watch.
It's almost in the same vein as like cringe humor for me, because I'm getting like a really visceral, emotional reaction from this. It is top notch. Visceral. It is very intense, and I think that like, you know, I don't know how much of a comedy that they were playing this off as. Maybe they thought the whole thing was just fucking hilarious. Like, haha, this family's about to get eaten. Maybe, you know, it's not going to happen because it's a movie, but even though it's like literally happening in real life. I mean, if they were going for fear or thriller aspects, I would say that was done successfully. I'm glued to the edge of my seat the whole time watching this fucking movie.
You're terrified more for the actors than the characters in the scene.
I mean, it's one and the same, you know?
Yeah, it seems very real, their reactions, like when they're being attacked, or
except
when
that
she's
one
like
kid
getting bit by the lion, she's yelling like, Mom, Mom, get this off of me.
The one son with the black hair, even I could not buy his reaction, even though it was actually happening for him. I guess he got too used to the lions, but like he was not a good actor. I mean, it's just like the director's family, right? So I mean, Tippi Hedren's an actress, obviously.
Yeah. But in that chaos of the movie, it really highlights, or I found it highlights the intelligence of the animals. So you have incredible scenes like where he's kind of communicating with that one lying in the hallway. And it goes on for like minutes, just kind of talking to the animal and showing off just everything that they're capable of, maybe in a unfair situation, but like if they've shot it, we might as well enjoy what they did from the event, you know, and still address like the moral implications of it. But you're just not going to see anything else like this. I've never seen a film quite like this before.
Yeah.
It's just so unique.
One of a kind.
Yeah, so...
I think the point of it's
unrestrained.
supposed to be like a pro-environmental, pro-nature.
Yeah.
Like animals are beautiful and everything like that.
Yeah,
At the
whatever
end, there's like
excuse
these
they can get.
songs. Yeah, there's like these songs he sings, like "Nature is great,"
Yeah.
whatever. Like, and it's really corny, but it's really funny. And it's mixed in with these horrifying scenes. But I guess that's just the way lions are. You can't really tell them what to do.
Yeah, it's weird. Because, I mean, like, they obviously have a love for these animals because they, like, rescued, quote unquote, and then raised them, right? So...
Well, there was a storm at some point during the production.
Oh, yeah.
I think that delayed it too, and some of the animals got killed from that. So that's horrible. There were all these things that just kept going wrong. And
on a movie
I don't
like
know
this,
if what they did, I don't know if what they did, like if they did more harm than good, with all this stuff.
I guess we forgot to mention.
But I guess they did save the animals, so
Yeah.
I guess something good came out of it.
Something we forgot to mention is that the estimated amount of cast and crew members that were injured on set is over 70. That's a lot.
The cinematographer got scalped.
Yeah.
There's like a photo of his scalp, like just hanging off his head online.
Yeah. And somehow nobody died. Somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be like a Grizzly Man type thing where it's about someone who lost it at the end, but it's just one step off like Snuff. It's not quite there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, if that were the case, then it would be a documentary being made about this film that never got released, sort of thing.
Right. What makes this not a Snuff movie? Like, because it could easily be seen as that or be seen as cruel, but why is it like a comedic thing? Like, why do we
Probably
enjoy
because
it?
the characters
Is it because
fucking
of his intent?
suck so much. Probably because they hide in a barrel and fall into the water like 30 fucking times. It's the same fucking slapstick Three Stooges bullshit the entire movie, just with real lions. It's so funny how bad they suck. It's like, oh, come on. Like, they're so stupid. Every single character is just a complete dumbass.
I couldn't figure out what their goals were. Like, they escape them
around.
and they just go and sleep in a cabin, like, right next to them. And then
It's like
they
they were
just break
LARPing.
in the night.
Yeah.
I'm falling again. Oh, no. It's like kids on a playground, but with real lions. It's so bizarre. I really wasn't expecting that element of the film to be the entire movie. Even after watching Ralph's video, I was like, oh, okay. So, like, I know about this movie. There's a bunch of untrained big cats and people are running around with them and they almost die. I assumed that would be like 30 minutes of the film. But it's the whole movie, really. It's like a bit of an intro. And the entire movie is them running around with fucking big cats almost dying for like an hour and a half or whatever.
Yeah,
an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, seemingly almost dying, but I can't really tell like what's scripted and what isn't, like where fiction ends and where like the real stuff starts, and that's what makes it so interesting. Almost like it is a documentary.
Yeah,
it is kind of groundbreaking like that. No other movie like it.
It's one of those things where I highly doubt that this film knew what it was going to be. Like, it wasn't trying to be this. It's kind of unintentional.
What was their end goal? Just for it to be kind of a naturalist piece?
Yeah, as long as it's kind of pro-nature, as long as that message gets across, which I guess it does with the music and the comedy.
I don't know how
and
you
all
could
that.
miss it, to be honest.
There's like lots of nice scenes with lions too. They're just kind of running around in like a habitat. Yeah, you're like, oh, that's nice.
I think that Noel Marshall and Tippi Hedren are just fucking psychopaths that love these animals so much. And they decided, well, you know, we're movie people. Why don't we make a movie about this crazy life we're already living? We have this crazy resource of all these animals that nobody else has. We could make this crazy, unique movie because we've already lived with them. These are, we got them for free right now. We don't have to pay to
I'm
get a
glad you
bunch of
mentioned
animals
like
in.
Grizzly Man too. Like Grizzly Man that guy reminds me of Noel Marshall.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he's seen this and like was inspired by it or something. And it's like that same kind of mindset. Like so in love with nature, and I'm gonna film myself with nature for, I guess, educational, like pro environmental purposes, spread a good message. But it's dangerous to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like guising their kind of mental problems by
Yeah.
attaching
Exactly.
themselves to these animals.
It's like an outlet.
Even if you feel like you can properly communicate with a species of animal, that doesn't really matter, because I feel like I can properly communicate with human beings, but one in every however many human beings are complete fucking assholes, right? You don't think that's the same for animals, even if you think that you can like properly communicate with them? Like, you know how they behave? That's like in general. All it takes is one bad apple. All it takes is one that just like fucking sucks to ruin your day or your life.
Which is what happened with Grizzly Man, wasn't it?
Just one rogue bear that he didn't really like anyway. That was really hungry. Oops.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
So this is what like movie producers get up to in their spare time then? They just make these big cat
These
sanctuaries.
psychos, yeah. These crazies. That was their life.
What is the link with that? He was a producer on a couple of projects, The Exorcist being the biggest one of note, obviously. But I suppose that's where he got some of those initial funds for. Because that's part of it too, like just the amount of food required to feed all these cats and take care of them to some kind of standard.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what their financial situation was before they started this project, but they like basically went broke doing it, is what I saw from the special features anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were just fucking loaded billionaires or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they were exaggerating.
They had money. They basically wasted all of it on this.
Yeah.
I mean, this sucked up all their money.
Yeah.
Between the production and all of the animals and feeding them and the habitat, taking care of it, Yeah. You had to feed all these lions too. Imagine feeding 150 lions. Like,
I think I read it was
That's
like
a lot.
$4,000 a week or something back then. That would have been in the 70s too.
Damn it.
That's nuts. Oh my god.
It's like this is like better than Tiger King, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was
I
just
would watch
about to
this
ask. So
again.
what's that Tiger King thing? Because that's kind of popped up and it reminded me.
Right, yeah.
I didn't see Tiger King. I
Yeah,
saw
I saw it
maybe
this
20
quarantine.
minutes of it. Yeah. So is that similar? Like, what's the story of that?
Well, it involves another crazy man who loves big cats, although he's basically just got them on an American like reserve or whatever you want to call it. It's basically like a zoo he has, and I forget which state. And the reason why that documentary is so successful is because it came out on Netflix right when everybody started getting locked down for COVID, so everybody saw it.
Right, yeah.
But also it's a pretty good like character thing. It's a good character series. These characters are really, really wacky, and it's like, oh wow, they did this, and some of the parts are quotable. It's kind of silly and it's fun. But I would watch Roar again sooner. I feel like I got everything I could have out of Tiger King. I don't know if I'll.
Roar is also shorter.
Yeah, Tiger King's a bit of a commitment, but there's nothing insane in that documentary like this. Like you're not fearing for anyone's life.
I'd
throughout
say
the
the
entire
cats
thing.
are more of a focus in Raw, whereas the people are more of a focus in Tiger King.
Yeah, exactly. Part of the reason why it's so clear that so much of what we experience from this movie is just unintentional is just how bad a lot of the other aspects are. Like some of the dialogue is really Troll 2 level. Some of it's so bad.
Look what the cat dragged in.
And the like inconsistent audio, the editing and color and lighting changes that just like what? Just like sometimes the audio just cuts out like abruptly. Just immediately.
The actors usually seem afraid of the cats, which is understandable. But that's like that's the one emotion they have for the entire movie.
Very bad editing and like just this. There's barely any story. It's literally just like, well, I'm over here with some lions. My family wants to come over too. Oh, it looks like they showed up and I wasn't there when they showed up because I'm a fucking asshole. and now they're there without me, and now I'm going to go back there, and now it's okay because they're like, oh, these things didn't want to kill us. They just wanted to be friends. Yay! Like, all they did was change their perspective.
Which is such a bad message.
And everything's, like, better. They, like, destroyed everything. They destroyed the entire fucking reserve or house or whatever. Everything's, like, trashed. Like, there's characters that are dead. There's 2 bad guys that wanted to kill one of them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
Oh, yeah, that whole subplot was, like, so rushed.
It's weird.
Those characters.
The one bad lion who was a jerk. I forget the name.
Yeah, the bad lion. Oh, yeah.
He had a black mane, which they obviously ripped off of Kimba, but...
Yeah, I didn't realize like that lions could look like Scar in real life. I thought that was just a Disney movie thing.
Yeah, apparently the more testosterone-filled dominant lions have darker manes. That's like one of the signals for... Yeah.
Oh.
They're like leaders, more aggressive sort of thing. Or just like
they are
bigger
stunning
jerks.
animals.
Did you like the elephant scene? Was the elephant scene?
The elephant scene
was
was
one of
great.
the highlights. It was a great like
it's
change
awesome.
up. Yeah, it's fucking because you think it's gonna be friendly, but then it like destroys the boat. Like,
Yeah.
Everything's out to kill them. It's like, I don't know, what did they
there's like a
fucking
lot
learn?
of different animals.
Like,
in
was
this.
the elephant trying to be their
I
friend
don't know.
too? Like, what the fuck? It destroyed their boat. Like, I don't really know what the moral of this film is. Like, the message by the end of it, it's so bizarre.
Yeah, because they're like, don't be scared of big cats, is what they say. Like, as you just said, like, well, they didn't want to eat us after all. So
Yeah.
is the message like, they're cool, so go out and get your tiger today.
Just joshing.
Like,
Yeah, I just don't recommend people go get tigers. Like,
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
you can
Yeah.
get a cat or a dog. Yeah, a parrot. Yeah, for movies too. Like, you know, a dog could be in a movie. Like,
Yeah.
dogs are good actors, right? Air Bud and Beethoven.
Yeah.
Like that Aladdin movie, they should have gotten a real parrot
Yeah.
instead of a CGI parrot.
and a real monkey.
Yeah, a monkey. What about that? Like, I think I don't know the whole monkey thing. I don't know if it's cruel or not to make the monkeys actors, but like The Hangover 2 had a really good monkey actor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't know monkey like union rules.
But
in
we are
Hollywood or
monkeys.
whatever.
Do you think the Indiana Jones monkey was treated right?
Yeah, I wonder. Was that one CGI? In the fourth one? The
No, I
ones
was
that
talking about
are
in,
with
in the first one, it gets poisoned.
okay, yeah. I thought you meant the fourth one, the scene with Shia LaBeouf when he's
Oh,
like
I
on the
did-
vines.
I'd
Yeah,
remove
there's all
that
the
from
monkeys
my
with him.
memory
I'm
bank.
sure the monkeys will unionize
Well, I'm
at
glad
some
I brought it
point.
back. I hope so.
Mm. All right. What would you... I think we're done talking about this crazy fucking movie. Everybody should go see
Do you
it.
have
It's
anything else to say?
absolutely insane.
It's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
It's nuts.
Yeah. I've seen it many times in my life because it's so like interesting.
Yeah. I watched
And
it for the first
documentaries
time
about
like a
it
month
too.
ago.
There's like documentaries about it. Those I watch more too,
Mhm.
because you get the background of the guy and everything. I gave it 5 stars, so I'll stick with that.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'm giving this one a 8 out of 10. It's absolutely insane. And even though my enjoyment from it is probably unintentional from the film, it's still very unique, very visceral. Emotions are just wild throughout the film. It's a very unique experience.
Yeah, I'm a little bit lower than you guys. I'd give this about a 7, I think, for me. I do appreciate the experience. It's a very unique one, as we've already said, and that is the value from it. I would recommend watching it maybe with a person or two, so because I found the fun to be kind of reading about it while watching it, cringing at it with them and sharing like just the craziness of everything that's happening. But yeah, I would recommend it, especially with it being on YouTube. And
Yeah, it's
how
just
you'll
on
never
YouTube
guess.
for free, like high quality.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
just searched the movie on YouTube because I've been starting to do that now because they're just popping up more and more, like just full movies. I think even The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and that lot was on YouTube, and people on Reddit were sharing it.
That's good.
Very nice.
I had to find a copy of it. Like I had to get it on Blu-ray
I got the
because I
Blu-ray.
couldn't find it online. I had a hard time like finding
Yeah,
it.
there are certain movies that are just a real pain, especially in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
to find any form of. So I was glad to see that.
Yeah,
Oops.
that's why I wonder all the legality of this stuff, and
Oh, I know.
yeah, because it
Yeah.
should be readily available.
Well, yeah, I want if it was just
It
on
was also a
iTunes and I could pay
huge
for it, I'd
bomb.
love to.
Yeah, there's that
Yeah.
too. Like it bombed when it came out. I think it cost like 20 million or something close to that, and it made like 2 million. So
Oof.
and producers were really they didn't even know how to market it. They're like, what is this? Do we market it as a comedy?
What the fuck is this movie?
Like it's 90 minutes of people getting attacked by lions.
Yeah, the
It's your family getting attacked by
2015
lions.
re-release
It's crazy.
trailer was like basically capitalizing off the controversy. It was like, this is how many crew members got injured, was the trailer for the 2015 re-release. It's like, okay,
guess that
we
worked
know what the
better.
movie is now.
Yeah, I'm not even quite sure what to make of it though. But that's what makes it
Yeah,
interesting.
that's why it's great.
You know?
Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I guess we're moving on to the film recommendation from Alex.
time?
It's a spoiler discussion.
Yeah, so spoilers for The Guest, 2014 movie by Adam's favorite director, Adam Wingard.
There's no good director named Adam.
Written by Simon Barrett. They tend to work together as a team on a lot of projects, like VHS, You're Next, VHS 2. But The Guest is a story simply about a guest who shows up, who claims to be linked to a recent military loss. He says he knows him and fought with him, so of course they accept him into the home and try to get to know him a bit. But things start happening, and he doesn't turn out to be quite what he seems. And it's sort of I guess an homage to 80s kind of John Carpenter type movies, a bit of horror thriller type stuff. It's very much trying to go for what Your Next was doing with the home invasion movie, to try and be a bit more of a clever example of one of those kind of movies. And unfortunately, I had this rated as a 7 originally. I watched it in 2014, haven't seen it since, and I didn't nearly enjoy it as much. I didn't find it to be. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed myself. I was hoping I would enjoy it more, if anything. But I found it to just be okay, just kind of okay, mediocre. I was wishing that I could have seen this kind of premise in the hands of someone with a bit more personality and character. You know, I really think that this 80s thing could have been explored with a bit more vision.
I had a very similar reaction.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Alex, yeah.
So we've all been...
I did too. But I still liked the movie. I still liked it.
Yeah.
Adam's evil laughing.
Yeah, I never got annoyed with it.
still
I'd
like
say...
it, yeah. And I noticed the John Carpenter, like the font is like very obvious, and there's like some shots that are like I've seen in other movies. Yeah, the references aren't. They're a little on the nose. They're like maybe I didn't notice them when I first saw it, but now it's kind of it feels a little unoriginal, I guess.
2014 was like peak 80s jerk off. Well, it was like right in that time, everything was
Drive
like
was
the
2011, and then everybody copied it.
Yeah, because I remember listening to loads of that synthwave stuff around that time and being really into it. So it's probably why I was quite into this movie.
A big reason why it was so well received at the time, or like I know there's a lot of people that still love it regardless. But do you think that that's a part of your enjoyment?
Yeah, the soundtrack choice is definitely really good in
Yeah.
the movie. I'm not going to take that away from it. I enjoyed the music.
I
in
like the
movie.
soundtrack choice, but I'm just confused as to like the film doesn't really have much personality beyond it just being an homage to the 80s, where I feel like something like It Follows, which is going for something
Much
very
better.
similar, but is much better, more original, taking the horror genre in a much more kind of creative way.
Yeah. So I my experience with this film is like with this, both this and Your Next, like I don't really feel much of the homage, or some might say satirical elements of the film at all. And so I wound up actually, like, before this discussion, between me watching it most recently in this discussion, I wound up actually looking at the Red Letter Media video where Jay interviews the writer. And so my goal watching that is like, I want to see the writer talk about the homage or satirical elements. My initial goal was to get like a copy of the DVD or Blu-ray, but like they were just so hard to find, they wouldn't show up in time, because there's a director's commentary on that, which I would have loved to have heard from actually Adam Wingard. But yeah, I mean, like the homage elements are there. Apparently Adam Wingard wanted to make a film that was like Terminator meets Halloween 3. Like that was his initial idea. And then the writer wanted to make some sort of like post-war drama. And then they just kind of combined the two ideas together. When watching a film like this, like I would much rather have an homage that is a stylistic homage. And the writer made it clear in this Red Letter Media video that they don't like doing those things. And so when I think of like good slasher homage kind of things or like horror homage kind of things, I'm not thinking of You're Next. I'm thinking of something more along the lines of, I don't know, House of the Devil or something, where it's like a clear stylistic choice along with the plot. Because if it's just the plot, to me, it's like, it's difficult to separate that from just like any other dumb horror movie. So like, if you're making an homage to a generation of horror films where things were more stupid and you just make a stupid movie and call it an homage, that's what it feels like to me. That's genuinely what it feels like. And I know it's like, yeah, there's synthwave. Yeah, you have the font choice at the beginning. They also did that in fucking Strangers Pray at Night. It seemed like an afterthought. It seemed like they literally just threw that into the fucking movie because it was popular at the time. Like, I don't see how I should be praising either of these two Adam Wingard films for being homages any more than I should be praising like the 2010 Frozen ski lift movie for being an homage to other horror movies. It's like, yeah, it's a fucking dumb horror movie. They're stuck in one spot and they're gonna die. Like, I just don't get that much from it.
A better homage than like Frozen.
Yeah.
I do think it's a good homage to those kinds of movies in some ways, and I did like enjoy it. I think Dan Stevens is really good in it also. I think that's kind of what
he carries
ties the whole thing together. Yeah.
Everybody says that, and I have to disagree so hard. I could not stand
It's a
his
very
character.
goofy film, and I enjoyed his like over-the-top performance.
As a
And I
Terminator
really
type
enjoyed
character.
him at first and enjoyed following him, and then that he becomes the villain kind of halfway through.
This is what confuses me so badly, is because like I'm struggling to understand which elements of this film are taken seriously and which ones are for comedy, because apparently parts are
Well, let me
supposed to
tell
be
you,
for comedy.
my first experience watching this movie was watching it on TV. Like, you know, I was like, oh, let's watch this movie on VOD, and I kind of watched it as like a crappy action movie you'd watch on VOD, like in that context. But it had like all these cool moments and homages and soundtrack choices, and I enjoyed Dan Stevens' performance, and Micah Monroe too, who's also in It Follows. I thought she was good. So I did like, I was invested in what was going on. It was just, there were some characters I thought that were kind of one-dimensional and should have been fleshed out more, like the son or the parents. That probably would have added more, and maybe the post-war kind of element should have been fleshed out more too, to make it actually like dramatic and like resonant in some way.
Yeah,
but it
there's
really
not much
just kind of feels
emotion.
like an afterthought halfway through. They're just like, they abandon it and becomes like a stupid like spy, like he escaped from a facility and he just starts shooting everyone. So I don't even know why that was really an element in the movie.
If I were to try and guess which elements of the film are supposed to be played for laughs and which aren't, I would be completely wrong. And that's what I discovered when I was watching through that Red Letter Media interview, is like, he's talking about like when the mom gets stabbed in the kitchen. He's like, yeah, that's funny. We both thought that was funny, the writer and the director. I was like, what? That's supposed to be played for laughs? And then he's talking
Yeah, I didn't
about
think that
Dan
was-
Stevens'
Yeah, I didn't think
character
that.
saying that he's like, oh yeah, well, we needed to have a justification for why the family would invite him in. That was the toughest hurdle of the script. And so we have this character that's really charming and believable and stuff like that. I'm just like, he's not charming at all. Like, every single thing that this character is doing, he's basically an inch short of just winking at the fucking camera, funny game style,
Yeah.
the entire fucking movie. I'm like, this isn't charming. He's a creep the entire movie. He's just sitting with this kid doing his homework. He's not even really fucking helping, just like fucking like on the floor doing
the
nothing.
world of
Just
this
like,
movie,
it's so
he's
bizarre and
he's the most
stupid. I
charming
can't
man.
take it seriously, and I don't know what I'm supposed to take seriously.
The 16-year-old kid acted like a 10-year-old, just like how lame he
Yeah.
was, and how Dan Stevens kind of had
Yeah.
to hold his hand, like, oh, this is a knife. Like, look at how you used it. Like, it was so
he's
dumb.
such
that
a cool
character. Yeah.
guy. He has a knife and he used it to cut open a pumpkin. It's a cool knife. This
But
guy's
in the
cool.
world of this movie, where every character is like that, basically, except Micah Monroe, like that works fine. I thought he was the most charming character in the whole thing. Like, he enters the bar and he orders the shot and splashes it in the
I
guy's face.
can't stand it. The entire time the film is insisting on how cool he is. And that just makes him so fucking lame to me. At no point do I think that this character is cool, because they're
Yeah.
constantly fucking
It's trying
flashing
really
it.
hard.
Yeah, like, I ordered the spicy
Even with
drink.
like the music cues and everything. There's a point where he's like, he kind of does a fake out on a guy where he's trying to scare him, but he's like, oh, I'm just fucking with you, man. But the music at that point's like, dun, like there's this like building suspense. It's like telling you how to
so
feel.
obvious.
Where in like the same scene in Goodfellas, so Joe Pesci just trying to be intimidating. They don't put music at all, and it's much better.
Yeah. It's so obnoxious and obvious. There's nothing really subtle about the movie. It's just confusing for me to watch. And like this is just an example of something where if you get it, you get it, and if you don't get it, you don't. Because I don't know, I'm struggling to understand just like how I'm supposed to feel differently about this movie than any other just like shitty, dumb thriller horror movie or whatever genre you want to call it. Because I feel like I've seen other things like this that are just as stupid that people don't like nearly as much. And I don't understand why this one, out of all of them, is supposed to be like separated into this, well, it's actually a good movie sort of thing. I really don't get it.
I guess because he was praised for the self-awareness type angle since You're Next, even though it's not that clear. Like, I really don't like the ending, especially of The Guest. With it ends just like that movie about the blind guy that came out fairly recently. It has like the same like horror movie cliche ending, but it's is it supposed to be a spin on it with her like saying it's like the same ending. They just made an 80s movie basically, without incorporating more modern advancements in storytelling. I kept thinking about The World's End by Edgar Wright, which is kind of channeling the same, like it's an ode to old science fiction type cinema and that kind of thing, but at the same time there's a new cast of characters, there are surprises along the way you're not really expecting. I think it's just lacking any depth beyond the concept. I don't care about any of the characters really.
I completely agree.
Yeah, it is just about, this is an 80s movie, we've just made an 80s movie, and here you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like a lot of these 80s, like he didn't make something the same caliber as the Terminator. Like
no,
yeah, like if you're not going to make something like as good, then like I think that there's a big difference for me between the word homage and the word satire. And I'm comfortable with people using the word homage to describe this film. I don't know why anyone would use the word satire to describe this film, because satire implies like a much clearer level of like criticism towards the genre rather than just doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's more of an homage or just copying it.
Yeah.
If you want to call it that.
Like he just did some 80s movies and people were like, we haven't seen those in a while. This is great.
Well, because it seems like he understands these movies. Like, I get a sense that he's actually watched them and enjoys them genuinely. And I like that the story actually takes turns that I wasn't expecting, like Dan Stevens becoming the villain and whatever. I think that was supposed to be their, like, fresh take on it, their justification for this movie existing.
That was a turn? That was a twist?
I thought so. Or it's
it was
slow
like so
twist.
fucking obvious.
It's
from the
slow.
beginning.
Like at first when he comes in, he's like a really likable character, and he has that nice scene with the mom.
And the music implies otherwise. The music
I thought
heavily
he was
implies
very
that he's like sinister.
Okay, there's always this the movie's called The Guest, and it's a horror movie, so there's always this underlying like,
he's
obviously he's suspicious, but at first he's very unsuspecting, which is why like later I thought the scene where he kills the mom was supposed to be like sad, like that scene
was shocking.
And yet the director and writers are saying that they found it funny, so it's like, what the fuck is going on?
That's the confusing part, because like the scene they had was very like emotional. It was like very personal.
I know, right? That's why I'm
man.
so confused.
Yeah.
Because like that to
And
me,
then
it's
he
like,
kills her.
how is that? Is that supposed to be for laughs?
Yeah.
Apparently. What? It's like the direction is so clear or unclear in terms of like what I'm supposed to be getting from it. And like, yeah, I guess that's just another reason why I wasn't really into it, is because from the very beginning, I was like, yeah, he's the bad guy. Is it implying something else? Like, I don't know. Like, apparently everybody else got a completely different experience watching it than I did. So. Yeah, just some movies, like his voice, Adam Wingard, as a filmmaker, I do not connect with at all. Like, am I supposed to take the dumb smiling scream scenes from Death Note as satirical? Am I supposed to take the Final Destination style gore kills in Death Note as like some sort of homage? Like, what's going on? Like, he just makes bad movies. Like, that's all he is to me.
Death Note gave him a lot of bad attention. I think a lot of his, like, I guess tricks you could call it, like the use of music. Like, music is just plopped onto that Death Note movie. And I think that made me appreciate, like, the soundtrack in this less, or maybe make me see through it. And, like, his, like, just the references and all that. I still like the movie, though.
Yeah.
Do we want to get into some positives of this film?
We haven't mentioned that it's only $5 million budget, so it's a fairly small-scale production.
Basically.
That's cool.
I think they do a pretty good job with that money. I think it looks better than like a $5 million movie.
I think it's an entertaining movie. It's maybe shallow, but I think it's entertaining. I like
Yeah,
I still like Dan Stevens in a lot. I think he's so awesome in it.
Yeah, I just don't feel that.
Yeah.
It scratches the surface a little bit for me. When he fully embraces the kind of Terminator style just execution thing, that was when I was entertained by the character. Like when he's buying the guns, it's so stupid and over the top. It's kind of funny to me. And that did feel like a genuine, like that was just taken straight out of the 80s kind of scene. And I get the appeal of that kind of thing, but I'm just not really after that anymore. I'm looking for a bit more oomph to the stories I want to ingest.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just if you feel it, you feel it. If you don't feel it, you don't. I'm just everything that anybody else is entertained by in this film, I am annoyed by. I am frustrated by.
Yeah, and I totally get it, because it's a little, like, it's just obnoxious sometimes.
Yeah.
How it comes across. Just the acting of the extras sometimes, even.
Mm-hmm. Beep.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear like this truck outside.
It's okay.
Oh my god, I hope that
Do we want to
shuts-
wait? It can't possibly
let's
be
wait a
backing
sec.
up forever.
Yeah. Yeah, he's driving by slowly. He's almost gone.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I don't
give
hear
it
it
like another
anymore.
minute.
So.
yeah, he's getting fainter. Okay.
Yeah, even on a rewatch, it's not like you pick up little secrets that tease the reveals and stuff.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't
on that
get
first
better.
watch, it kind of it relies on the kind of secrecy of
That
everything.
I'll agree
whereas,
with, yeah. On a first
Yeah.
watch, it's like the best experience by far.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's really
and that's
shallow.
always kind of a bad sign. If you rewatch a movie
right.
and you get nothing more out of it than the first time, then it's not the best.
Yeah, I was just so mad. You know what's actually insane, though? As I told you, I tried watching it on an airplane and then gave up and didn't finish the movie. I had learned watching it this time that I actually, sometime between that first watch and now, I had actually seen the entire movie also, but I just completely fucking forgot.
Oh.
So I literally, like, as I was watching, I'm like, I've seen all of this.
Wow.
So I actually, and then I
Like,
had to remember,
where?
my
On
roommate
TV?
told me, like, yeah, I watched it with you. I'm like, what the fuck?
okay.
Like, I completely forgot that I'd actually seen the entire movie just because I'm
so you've actually probably seen it the most.
I'm so bored and uninvested and frustrated, and it's so nothing to me that I completely just eradicated the entire experience from my mind. And so this is the third watch. 2.5, I guess. And yeah, it doesn't get any better.
It doesn't have many great or memorable scenes. Like when I think about strong scenes in the movie,
Yeah.
the only part that really stands out in my mind is that kind of last act where all the action begins with Lance Henry
Yeah,
showing up.
just shoot the guy from under the bed, do a worse job at it than Kill Bill, which is also a film that's being an homage. You know?
I
thought the action was okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I thought it was, did the job.
Yeah,
It
did the
had
job.
some fun blood and gore, but the sound effects were so fucking over the top and distracting, which maybe
were.
I guess you could call an homage, but what's the difference between
Again,
that and
yeah.
any other bad
Like,
movie that he's
that's
made
the
that
point.
isn't an homage? Right? What's the difference between
Right.
that and the bad sound
That's-
effects in
that's when
fucking
it starts to
Frozen
fall
2010?
apart.
Like, if you're not differentiating yourself by just being a bad movie and then just say, oh yeah, it's an homage whenever it's something bad happens. Like, yeah, 80s horror movies were kind of bad in ways. There were some dumb things. It's an homage, I guess.
But it's not a unique concept though either. There's like Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which is
That's
like
a great-
comedic take on
Yeah,
that.
that's a great
way more
satire.
clever.
Yeah.
That one's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's a great movie. I love it. There's tons of great homage and satire films. I just don't I don't see what there is to praise about Adam Wingard's when he's just doing the same thing and that's it. Like if you made a movie in the 80s, then it wouldn't be an homage. You would have made the exact same thing.
Well, it's like an 80s movie with a 2014 skin over it, which kind of
Kind of.
takes all the
Yeah.
personality out of it. because
Exactly. It
You
doesn't
want
have
the
a
80s
style.
movie to kind of look like an 80s movie. Yeah, it's very flat, like visually in terms of that kind of stuff. It's just a movie set in 2014, kind of shot like a basic 2014 looking movie
Yeah.
with a synth soundtrack.
It didn't really make me want to like watch an action movie from the 80s after it. Like after I watched Shaun of the Dead, I feel like watching
Or
Dawn
Hot
of the
Fuzz,
Dead
yeah.
or something. Yeah, Hot Fuzz. Like you get excited for like that genre. This one I was just like I wanted to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I was so tired. I was like, okay, I guess that was fine.
And even if we're talking about the elements like the music, basically, so again, more things I learned from watching the interview with the writer. Basically, Adam Wingard just had a list of like synthwave songs. He's like, okay, find a way we can use this, find a way we can use this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, you play this on the radio. It sounds good. It's like
Yeah.
dialogue like that. There's way too many scenes where like music is cut off. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's just like they're playing music and it's just abruptly cut. They do it like 5 times.
Some of the
I think.
editing is obnoxious, and like, yeah, I guess if you've never seen that type of cut before, it would just be groundbreaking or something. But
Right.
yeah, the way that the music is used in the film also kind of pissed me off a little, because the writer's explaining how the character from the girl from It Follows, whatever her name is, I forget. She's
Michael
supposed to be
Monroe, I
seen as
think.
this sort of like outcast. She wants to leave this small town sort of thing. And the writer was saying that the music that she listens to in this synthwave genre is supposed to differentiate herself from the rest of the town. Like, she listens to this genre, like this is her music. But not only is she listening to it, and not only is it in the film's soundtrack,
It's in the bar, isn't it?
yeah, it's in the fucking bar. And this bar is like, this is a small town bar. All the seats and aesthetic are just like wooden. This is basically like a country bar. Like this, you'd imagine a place like this playing like rock, some sort of rock music, maybe country. But this place is playing synthwave too, and it's like, okay, well, that kind of ruins the exact goal that you said you had for the character in this interview that you're giving on Red Letter Media's channel. You said that she's supposed to be differentiated from the rest of her environment by the music, and yet the entire rest of the film, including other physical locations in the film, play the same music. It's all the same. It's just like, it's so annoying.
Yeah, I noticed that specifically. This is what I mean about the way the 80s stuff is incorporated. It doesn't seem to have much place within this story, really. It's just there to be an homage, and
Isn't
not
this
much more
cool?
to build its own. Yeah.
It came out at the right time, before people realized just how many people were doing this shtick. Before it became so obvious that it was a huge cliche in the 2010s to do homage 80s synthwave soundtrack. It came out just before
when did
people
Stranger
were
Things
becoming
come out?
aware of it. Stranger Things was after, I think? I don't know.
Yeah, that was 2016. So yeah, it was this whole period of just everything going for this kind of...
They got it
tone
out
and
quick enough
sounds.
before
Stranger
people
Things
noticed.
is much better too. Like that's
yeah.
really impressive. Like really well done storytelling and that really original. All the acting is great in that. Like the characters are really fleshed out.
Well, they're original characters that have their own kind of interesting arcs. There's really none of that here. I don't care about this main family beyond just the over-the-top
It's
nature
a short
of the
film.
violence.
That you have 3 seasons of television. Here it's all pretty quick. And I just wish that, like, that's the biggest thing for me. I just wish the characters were better. I just wish I actually like cared about them. Like the son character, he was so stupid.
He was so annoying.
So dumb.
He was
so
an
annoying
idiot.
and dumb the whole time. And I just wish he wasn't. Like that could have been such a great dynamic.
I don't feel like his character was fleshed out at all. Because like at the beginning of the movie, he looks like he might just be like one of those like kind of like, I don't know, like weird autistic kids or something. And he just like doesn't have any
Picked
friends.
on
He's like
by the
antisocial
bullies.
or whatever.
Yeah, he's thrown into a
But
locker.
it never touches on like him being like a nerd or a smart character. He looks like just kind of like, you know, like maybe skips class and just like does his own thing sort of kid. But then at the end of the movie, they're like, "You're good with computers, right?" It's like, oh, well, that wasn't really established. Like, I thought he was having like difficulty with his homework, that he needed help earlier in the film. Like, that doesn't seem like the same. It just
that
seems,
reminded me of Jurassic Park.
yeah, like,
It's a Unix system. Yeah.
yeah. All of a sudden, he's like a computer whiz, I guess.
Yeah, the thing that distracted me about that guy is just how much he looks like Chloe Grace Moretz.
Oh, really?
His
Oh,
face
that's
just
funny.
looks
Oh,
like
now that you point it out,
Really?
it's so obvious.
Dude,
Yeah, the
I
I was
like,
thinking of the
Google
guy
it,
from
bro.
Stranger Things.
Google his face.
Yeah,
It's weird.
I can see it right now.
I was thinking of
I'm not even Googling the face.
the guy from Stranger Things, whatever his name is. Will's
Genuinely.
brother, older
Someone
brother.
on the Reddit will do a side by side. Trust me, it is really distracting.
I just like, are you allowed to just get away with the film being stupid by calling it an homage? Are you allowed to just get away with that?
Loads of films do it. Like what was that one? Was it called like Turbo Kid or something?
Yeah,
that was
Turbo
fully
Kid.
embracing the kind of 80s silliness. Like it's just
Yeah,
not
that
that
was
unique
okay.
of a concept, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't buy any of the characters or their motivations or anything. It also just seemed so fucking artificial and fake every single moment of this film. I couldn't get into anything that was going on. Like, I didn't buy that she would invite him to the party. I found it stupid that the little boy was like covering up actual fucking murders for him. Like, there's just so much about this. Like, man, there was like that attempted cool shot at the fucking party where they're following around the dude in a fucking furry outfit or whatever, and it's like maybe like less than 10 seconds of this like follow shot, but it's like, oh man, something almost cool happened. If it was just longer, if it was more like it's like 0.5% of like the long shot from Magnolia basically, but it's just like it's so short that it didn't really do anything.
Yeah. How did you feel about the exposition in the movie? Like the way they trickle the reveal of the main character, the guest, and there's a scene early on where they kind of show the military guys in the boardroom coming together.
Yeah.
And I felt like it really robs a lot of the mystery or surprise away from the movie, because it kind of implies what the secret is. Yeah. I'd say. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be much more effective if it kind of stayed on the family and the characters and didn't leave that until the end. So then when the military kind of did show up, it added like an extra sense of tension to it if you didn't really know what was going on so explicitly. I did like how they didn't feel the need to fully over-explain it, but then in the same sense they kind of ruin that mystery by just saying like, yeah, we're like experiments gone wrong or whatever.
It was handled so sloppily. It was just, it felt so
I just feel like there's a way you could reveal a character and tell this kind of story in a really satisfying way. Like I keep bringing up Edgar Wright, but in Hot Fuzz, like part of the story, like spoilers if you haven't seen it, is like the town is not what it seems to be. Like in the same way that the guest is not what he seems to be, but the way that like works itself into the story and just the
intricately
pacing of it,
woven,
and the way it affects the characters. Yeah, and then when you rewatch the movie, you pick up so many secrets and details and foreshadowing. There's so much depth to it.
So many callbacks.
Really is none of that here.
Just adds to the humor, adds to the experience. In this film, it's just like I'm just annoyed at every turn. Like, you can't honestly just call up the fucking military and ask for information on a soldier. You can't do that. They wouldn't even get to the point where they're searching. They would say, "Excuse me, this is classified information. You're not just allowed to ask about somebody and like get their information." They wouldn't even get to the point where they were searching.
Yeah, the parents just play oblivious to the whole situation. I guess that's a reference to the 80s, but it just makes no sense in this context when like people are getting killed. Like the guy's boss gets killed at some point. The dad.
Turns out there's a serial killer in town.
Yeah, he's like, oh, but I get a promotion. It's like, is this supposed to be a comedy scene? Or
I
is this
guess
supposed
it's
to be
just
serious?
like the accidents in Hot Fuzz, where it's just about like people misinterpreting accidents. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Except it's very unclear. He comes home and he's like seriously depressed. He's like going for a drink. It's like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
It's not played for like a laugh.
It might be. It might be. Because I have no
I
fucking...
think it
like,
is.
You ask the writer and director, and it's just like, I don't know what's supposed to be funny in this movie. What is and what isn't. Like, there are parts that are funny because they're bad to me. I don't know how they feel about the movie. I'm just like so disconnected from their experience. It's insane.
Yeah, but I just don't believe these characters, that they wouldn't piece this together, or that they wouldn't believe their kids or do anything about this. It's just she runs back in the house when like the police come and start shooting at Dan Stevens instead of like running away like in a field.
Yeah, she like sides with him immediately.
Yeah, she sides with him.
What was the fucking budget for that Halloween setup at the school? This is a high school. This was like a professional like carnival Halloween thing. Also, there would be fucking side exits. You can't honestly design something, especially for a high school, where you have to go through a fucking maze to get from one place to another, and there's no other way to go through. That's a massive fire hazard, and then a fire does happen. Everybody's fucking stupid. This doesn't make any sense. Everybody's a moron.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, no, I, as I say, I kind of feel like I'm letting down the fans a little bit, because the whole reason they wanted this discussion to happen was because we're supposed to have different opinions, but we're all kind of down on the same line.
I hate it more.
Kind of down.
Is my opinion.
Sure.
Yeah, you do hate it more, because I think
it's not like I love this film though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when a film is so like mediocre like this, it is hard to defend it. You know, if you just have no passion for it at all.
I liked it though.
Because like I mean, like even the people that love it, I don't think that there's much coming from like that discussion other than just like the emotional experience behind it. Like when I'm watching Jay from Red Letter Media, bless his soul, he's basically just saying the entire time like, yeah, this was awesome, this was cool. Like he definitely got an emotional experience out of it, and that's a perfectly valid reason to love a movie, and I'm not trying to imply that his reasons for liking it are not valid. I just think that like in terms of like an emotional experience, because I'm not connected to it at all, I don't really have much that I can't appreciate about this film, like really at all. I'm the most of what I'm supposed to get out of it is just feeling that was cool, or that was fun, or I like this, or I like that, but I don't. And so when I don't, and it's impossible for me too, what do I have? That's how it feels.
Yeah, if it doesn't remind you of that thing you love, then there isn't really that much for you to love about it.
Mm-hmm. And if you haven't seen those things, it's kind of just a ripoff of those other movies.
Yeah.
It doesn't offer anything new. You're just getting that same experience, you know.
Yeah.
It's better. You're better off watching Terminator or something.
Yeah, I'd rather watch something more genuine.
Mm-hmm. With the same font. Watch The Thing.
Yeah.
It has the same font. Or is it Halloween?
Or yeah, or any of the
All those
countless
movies.
other examples of movies going for this same thing that do it a lot better. You have a lot of choice at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Adam Wingard, everybody. He's doing a remake
he's doing
of
next.
He's doing Godzilla versus Kong, I guess. He's also doing an American remake, because Death Note went so well, of I Saw the Devil, a South Korean film that I really enjoyed, was on my 2010 list, I believe. Yeah, he's doing a remake of I Saw the Devil.
That's such an excellent movie.
An
awesome film.
Fucking God.
Yeah, and
I'm sure he'll handle it
choice.
so well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Adam Wingard remake of Parasite. Coming soon.
You know, we haven't even mentioned the Blair Witch remake that he did. I'm sure everybody fucking forgot about that in a heartbeat.
shit.
Oh
exactly,
my God.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody even remembers that
I just remember
exists.
that. Yeah.
God.
He really
that
hyped
was
that
bad.
up too before it came out.
Yeah. That was bullshit.
Was that where they were wearing all
Big
like little
kaput.
cameras on their heads and shit?
Mhm.
It was all like POV.
I couldn't.
It's a GoPro.
I repressed
That's
that
right,
from my
yeah.
memory in the same way
GoPro
I did.
presents
the
the Blair
guest.
Witch.
Couldn't tell you
Mhm.
anything about the movie. I see I rated it a 1 on IMDb. That's all I know about it. But I definitely
The
watched
point
it.
of the first Blair Witch is people thought it was real. It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it was just a remake
People-
without the scary things from Blair Witch
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah. But like the content of the movie was like irrelevant to the fact that people thought it was real.
Yeah.
Like that's why
yeah.
people saw it. How did they miss the point of the movie?
I
Yeah.
know. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, the Blair Witch video game actually wasn't that bad. I actually kind of
The
enjoyed
video
that.
game.
Yeah, I heard
Did
that.
you see the sequel?
Though the
Blair
Blair
Witch
Witch
2?
2, yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
I remember
Oh.
renting that from the video
It's not
store
like
when I
found
was
footage
like
or anything. Yeah.
13, 14, just having no idea about how bad sequels can be, and then yep, it was a bad movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
My
Did we rate
naivete
this?
back then.
The guest. Yeah. You want to rate it? Do we have anything else to say about this?
Not really, to be
Hate
honest.
to be down on it.
Yeah. Adam Wingard's a hack. I don't think he's made a single good film. That's
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
I mean, I was never that hyped on Your Next. I thought it was just
I
fine.
wasn't either.
Um,
So I'm glad we agree on that.
Yeah. And then Blair Witch is awful. Death Note is awful. I think, honestly, The Guest is probably his best movie.
It is.
Seems to be the
definitely.
general consensus, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and none of us are that enthused by it. So, I mean, there you go, everybody. That's the
Yeah.
discussion on The Guest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you wanted to hear me angry, you got it.
What's your rating, sorry?
Well, so I don't remember what I rated it the first. I think I maybe gave it a 5 just from the half watch on the airplane. Then I think I changed it to like a 3 or a 2. And then I watched it the third time, and I was like, well, it's worse this time, so I gave it a 1. And then everybody on the both subreddits got really mad at me. And then I watched the interview with Red Letter Media and understood that even the writer and director, I guess, don't take this movie as seriously as I was interpreting from the film itself and its constant fucking look how cool this is vibe. And so I was like, okay, well, if you don't even think it's like super great, or like I don't even know what they think of the movie, honestly, but I was able to raise my rating a bit just knowing that apparently some parts are supposed to be funny, or that they think it's funny anyway. And so I was like, okay, 3 out of 10. Not for me. That's the highest I could give it.
Okay. This was right down the middle for me. I give this 2.5 stars. I think it doesn't really have its own voice, much of a unique take on anything. You can find this this type of story just anywhere at this point. You have so much to choose from. I could go to my grave without ever seeing this movie again, quite happily.
This is a fun action movie. Check it out on Netflix. I give it 6 out of 10.
Oh, is it on Netflix?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I bought it.
Nice. You listen to did you buy like a physical copy?
No, I bought it on iTunes. I really did want to listen to a director's
I would
commentary.
love to listen to a director's
option there.
commentary, but
Yeah,
now I
yeah.
don't know if I want to because it wouldn't, like we've done the conversations. Do I really want to
there's
sit
no
through
point
that
now.
the movie again?
Yeah.
Like fuck. Yeah. Well, sorry if I annoyed anybody listening. I get a little heated sometimes.
Thanks for the
But,
recommendation.
Thanks, Alex.
Oh,
I'm
no
glad
worries,
I-
guys. I'm
so-
glad you
so-
enjoyed it.
Yeah. So with new eyes now.
There was a thread on the Sardonicast subreddit a week or so ago, and it was like, what is everybody's favorite and least favorite episodes? And there was one user where like they listed several least favorite episodes, and all of them were just the ones where I hated a movie more than both of you. Like they just did not like. Yeah,
He's not gonna like this one then.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry to
sorry I
add
upset
another
that
one to
guy.
your
Oh,
list.
sorry,
but
man. You'll be all right.
I'm sure some people like listening to us argue though, but
Yeah, listen next
I
time.
think it's a
Maybe
fun
the next
discussion.
episode will be better. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
all right. Question time.
Okay, let's do some questions from the Sardonicast subreddit. If you want to leave your own questions for us to answer in future, head over there to the suggestion thread and ask us whatever you like. Let's start with this one from HR6UNRF Neon. What is the most boring film you've ever watched? Not necessarily the worst movie, but the one you were the least invested in.
Boring.
On the show, Gene Dealman.
Oh.
Oh, really?
On the show, like, yeah, I'm not even mad at you for saying that because it's like trying to be boring in a way, but I got a lot out of it from a second watch. Like, I don't even think that's boring anymore.
Yeah, Are we talking about films we've seen for this? Because I guess it would be that by default. But
Well, yeah, I films I've seen for this probably, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I've got an answer for one that's sticking out in my
Star
head.
Wars prequels.
Oh, the
You
Star Wars
hated watching the
prequels.
Star Wars prequels.
I mean, that experience was a bit better because I watched it with described audio for the visually impaired. But
oh yeah.
yeah, if I had watched those normally, then yes, that would be my answer. There's a film sticking out to me right now called Cemetery of Splendor by acclaimed Thai, I think, director Apichatpong Wisithakul. It's mouthful of a name. He won the Palme d'Or with Uncle Boon Me, which I also found a bit boring, but it had some redeeming elements. This was unbelievably slow with no redeeming elements, and I could not stand it. A lot of people love this director. I'm just not into it.
Mhm.
I found it's so unnecessarily slow, and I don't get much out of it.
Yeah, as far as things that I didn't watch on Sardonicast because I wouldn't torture you guys with it, but Cars Life 2 was pretty tough to get through. Got to admit.
Cars Life 2. Yeah, there's a lot of boring movies. I don't
Yeah.
know. Bride Wars. Like I could make a whole list of them.
The past 10 years, the most boring movie I've seen, I believe, would have to go to Murder on the Orient Express by Kenneth
Oh, you watched
Branagh.
that?
Yeah, I was in the States, and that was playing in theaters, and I, just wanted to see something in theaters, and that was there. So the plus side is American theaters. Some of these chains have like fucking like reclining lazy boy. They have like beds basically in these theaters.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
nice.
really
Yeah,
nice. That sounds good.
Press a
America
button,
is like the
recline.
consumerist
Nice big
wet
cup
dream.
holder.
You can buy
The most
anything.
comfortable
Yeah.
place.
It's absolutely insane. So that was nice, but the movie itself was just like the most boring thing I've ever seen, really. Yeah.
Who's
It's the director of
anticipating a Murder
Artemis
on the
Fowl.
Orient Express movie? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Working with Disney. Yeah.
He's in Dunkirk.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
his
He didn't direct
Shakespeare
Dunkirk.
stuff.
He's in
but
it. Yeah, that was 10, 20 years ago, right?
He might pick it
Hamlet,
up
like,
again.
How long ago did he direct
I don't
Hamlet?
know. We'll see what he does. But man, that movie was boring.
Direct another Thor movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, what a
He's
weird
directed
guy.
by
There's a
Taika.
What a
Thor
catalog.
Natalie Portman movie coming out. Direct that.
All right. Those are
Okay.
my two answers, I guess.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
Barry Benson's side chick has one for us. Which celebrity deaths, if any, have personally impacted you the most? Edit, rest in power, Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
So of
well,
course,
Chadwick Boseman. made the
Yeah,
he was a very
shocking.
talented, respected actor. Obviously, a lot of people loved his work. Yeah, so it's very sad news, and cancer too. So he
Yeah.
was very young.
So young.
He hid
yeah.
it for like 4
Yeah.
years and was still performing roles, which
Wow.
is pretty
Yeah.
insane, pretty legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it is. He was in Da 5 Bloods, wasn't he? Yeah, he was good in that.
You got to respect his, I guess, wishes to not have made this like a news story back when he was still making films. Like that was just for his family only, really. It sucks that he couldn't beat it. Cancer's a bitch.
Yeah. Well, that
Obviously.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
I've had family members lost to cancer, obviously.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't even imagine what his family's going through. But yeah, he did a lot of good work
Yeah.
while he was here. So.
Only 44. Or wait, it said 43 here on IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awful.
Pretty young. That sucks. This is obviously a really like a big news thing. In terms of like ones that have personally impacted me more, I guess Philip Seymour Hoffman's up there. And also Brittany Murphy, which is a weird thing to say. I know, like she died really young, and it's not like I guess people's lives aren't necessarily valued just by like how skilled they are. I always thought she was great, but when she died, it was like this weird point for me where like she was performing this type of role that has not been filled since. You know, she had a very
Right.
specific type of role that she played, and she was so great at it. And she was always kind of there, and now it feels like something's missing from a lot of movies. And I also feel kind of the same way about Michael Clark Duncan when he died. Is like he did that thing, and now movies don't have that thing in them anymore. So it's like this one
know exactly what you
person's
mean.
death, this one person's contributions are no longer in the overall part of filmmaking in general that we see. It's like they were adding
it's not part of our
to
culture
films
anymore.
in general. It wasn't just individual roles.
Yeah. So it's a loss.
Yeah.
For me, it would be David Bowie.
Oh yeah.
He's obviously more of a musician, but it was just a personal thing. I guess it's just the first time I really twigged like, oh, these people I've like always enjoyed their stuff. They're not going to be around forever. And the way he went out with that album about his death, I thought was like such a statement that I haven't really experienced before. It's such a harrowing album to listen to now.
Black Star.
Yeah. You got any, Ralph?
The Linkin Park singer,
Oh,
Chester.
Bennington.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to make sure I said his name correctly. Yeah. Him.
Yeah, that one was sad.
Yeah, that was rough.
He was in Saw
It's in Saw,
7.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got an iconic
and
role.
Crank.
Yeah.
I think more people knew him from Linkin Park.
What?
Yeah, those are very good roles.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
No, yeah. I listened to a lot of Linkin Park when I was younger. And I always find it very interesting that like there are artists like Linkin Park or My Chemical Romance or any number of emotional yet rock artists that when they're popular, they get made fun of a lot, and people experience these kinds of emotions from them and kind of get ridiculed for doing so in a way. Like Linkin Park and MCR, and I'm sure there's other examples that I'm not thinking of right now. Like they kind of became memes in a way, and I think that's very interesting. And it seems to be particularly with male singers that talk about really emotional things, and it's like, okay, you're supposed to feel bad, sort of thing. And I think it's weird because, like, I guess, like, in general society, I guess a way of compartmentalizing or processing these kinds of negative emotions is to kind of turn them into jokes and kind of ridicule them in a way. And it seems like this just tends to happen with these types of artists, and then enough time passes, whether their death is relevant to this or not, enough time passes where people are like, okay, yeah, this was an important part of my childhood. This is emotional music, and it's like okay to like it again. Like MCR is something that, like, you know, they stood the test of time. Like people understand that these albums are so valuable, even though they are portraying sadder, negative emotions. Like it's, in retrospect, there's not as many people making fun of these kinds of things, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Linkin
Yeah,
Park's
that's a good point.
lyrics are still a meme, I guess, crawling in my skin sort of thing. But I think that's just a way of like, people processing these types of emotions, or society as a whole. Like you kind of have to make a joke out of these sorts of things as like a self-defense mechanism almost to like these emotions that you might not want to experience.
Yeah, great
Yeah, I
point.
completely agree with you. Yeah.
Next question.
Mobile Association 8 has one for us, one of the most asked questions in this question thread. The new version of Batman with Robert Pattinson came out with a teaser. What do you guys think of the footage and how the story might go so far? Did you guys see this?
Yeah, I did. Looks
How are you
fine.
feeling?
We'll see.
Yeah, as far as these upcoming DC projects, I mean, it's the one I'm most interested in. I think tonally it looks interesting and serious in a more suitable way, not Zack Snyder serious. It seemed I saw a good kind of description saying it kind of looks like Seven with Batman in it. And I like the idea of that kind of tone.
I'm not sure why I was so shit-faced when I watched it. I don't often get shit-faced drunk, but I pulled it up on my phone, and it was like right before going to bed. I was about to get like a massive hangover the next day, I guess. And I watched it, and despite only having seen it then, I still retained a good amount. Like it was visceral enough, it was impactful enough that I'm like, okay, yeah, like I'm thinking of these conscious artistic choices in that trailer that I really liked. The question is whether or not that's just really great trailer editing, or if it's going to be a great film because the trailer is so good. Because when I looked at that trailer and I look at the artistic choices in that, I'm thinking like, I love the duct tape sounds at the beginning and the title moving closer and like kind of jumping in unison to these like duct tape like sounds. I thought that was super cool. That was a great way to open up the trailer. I love how much they showed of that one, I guess, beating up shot where it's like, okay, this is a
brutal.
single shot here. There's so many hits. None of the hits look super fake or anything. Like it's very well choreographed in that shot.
Yeah.
The hits feel real and they feel like kind of brutal. And it goes on for longer than you would expect, especially in a trailer. So, yeah, there's some good looking things in it, and I'm surprised to say that, honestly.
I think the cast looks really good too. Isn't it Paul Dano who's going to play the Riddler or something? Like,
Yeah,
that seems
he's
like good
covered in duct
casting to
tape.
me.
You got Doug Walker.
Colin Farrell is
That guy
is
does
the
look like
Penguin. Yeah, the Joker guy.
Oh yeah,
Colin
no,
Farrell's
you're right.
the
Yeah.
Penguin. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see about that. Is he
The
in the trailer?
Batman.
I don't think so. Is that what it's called? The Batman.
The Batman. we're getting the Batman and the Suicide Squad. So what are we? Some kind of
my
the
God.
Suicide Squad?
Please. No, I was surprised by how many people are making fun of Robert Pattinson. I guess most people still associate him with
Yep.
Twilight. Like the general public probably does.
That's the only like huge movie that he starred in, and the rest that he's been acting in have
True.
been these smaller like borderline indie films, right? Like Good Time was awesome, but not a lot of people saw that. So when you're going for like the general public and he's thrust back into this like multi-million-dollar The Batman, there's going to be a lot of fucking idiots on Twitter that didn't even know that he was in anything since Twilight. And that's all they're going to associate with him with, because they don't know that he's been acting in other movies and doing a fantastic job since.
Yeah. Well, he's also in Tenet coming up. So
Yeah. Now,
Yeah,
I guess.
true.
But
yeah, now.
I mean, yeah, look at his fucking IMDb page. Known for Twilight, and Remember Me, and Twilight. It's like those are the first
Remember
four
me?
that
Oh my
Let's
God.
not
Are
remember it if we can.
yeah. Remember Me was also shit. But yeah, same generation
Yeah.
of just like shit, bullshit, romance, god awful nonsense. But yeah, I've never had really a bad thing to say about Robert Pattinson, probably because I've never seen the Twilight movies or Remember Me. He's always been great,
Oh, really?
in my opinion.
I think he's kind of funny in the Twilight movies. I watched them all for
I can't
the first
wait
time
to see them.
last year. Yeah, I'd actually recommend it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
a fun
debating doing them
experience.
for like a commentary thing, actually.
I think it would be worth it, especially for that last
Great to
movie.
hear.
Yeah.
He might be the best actor in those. I mean, it's hard to say. Like, you're judging
Yeah.
the really bad
Yeah.
dialogue and everything, but I think he was probably the best one.
When you don't have that much to work with.
Yeah, it's hard to stand out when you don't have much to work with.
Yeah.
When you're a sparkling vampire.
Yeah.
And he's like on the commentary track, just like turning
really?
into the movie. His
Yeah, that's
relationship with it's
awesome.
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, in the a lot of interviews that I've seen, him and Kristen Stewart were just kind of like, yeah, these movies aren't good, but like
Yeah.
that seemed to be their
Sure, the
general
bank account's so happy about
thoughts
it,
on the
though.
movie. They kind of like memed it a bit.
Yeah, they're kind of like the prequels for a different group of people.
Yeah. They remind me of a more innocent time. I actually miss the Twilight
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
Better than like
Yeah,
the
it was
50 Shades
simple.
movies or like, whatever we have now.
That was the big controversy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just Twilight came out.
Yeah.
That was it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Porn for Women, the movie.
There you go. Fake Jose Titties has an interesting one. A very important question for Adam. How's your brother's bar doing since the pandemic? Anyway, any way we can help support his business? So my brother works in the same kind of industry, so I'm wondering how it's affected his business.
Well, thank you for asking. So I never go on Facebook, but I happened to be on Facebook a couple nights ago, and I noticed a post from my brother's business, the Diving Bell Social Club on Facebook. That seems to be where they're updating the most. And apparently they're reopening with social distancing and masks and stuff starting on September 12th. So I was kind of surprised to see that because I talked to him about that, like, I don't know, however many months ago. He seemed like he was worried that he might have to like shut it down or something. But yeah,
Really?
so even though it's like a venue kind of place, I'm just reading this right here on their Facebook. Audience capacity will be limited to 45 people. Audience members will be seated at small appropriately distanced tables during events, 14 tables total. Tickets will be pre-sold online, et cetera, face covering is mandatory. So yeah, looks good. I think in the meantime, they were doing some sort of like live streaming fundraiser stuff here and there near the beginning of like all the shutdown stuff. But I mean, technically it's still alive, so hopefully things go well. Yeah, if you want to support the business, you live in Montreal, then hop on by. Follow the Facebook page. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, it's just fucked over so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Smith Reddit says, do you think critics have a responsibility over the emotional well-being of the people they criticize? How do you feel about this one then?
Emotional well-being. How are you supposed to know like how much they could take of the criticism?
Yeah, it depends on the person. Try your best not to punch down, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, the day that Derek Savage sends me a message saying, please do not cover my content anymore, I'll fucking stop. Not even kidding. Like, I'm not interested in making people feel bad, but like the general, like the last time he mentioned me, he was saying, hey, thanks for covering my 420 awards thing. It got a lot more views. So I feel like right now I'm kind of keeping his business alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, try to be... There's been some comments I've made in the past where, like, even though they are like Hollywood actors or stuff, like a few years ago there was like a review where like as I was criticizing the movie, I was like, yeah, you got a stupid face, or like I criticized the actor's looks or something, and I look back on that, even though I haven't really gotten criticism over that, I personally look back on that, I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm probably not going to do that, like that's probably like I don't feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat.
I feel like if you put yourself out there, you're just subject to criticism, like anyone. I don't think anything's sacred in that way.
Yeah, for me, I think when you're reviewing a product, it's kind of fair game. And if it's going to like personal insults, it can go too far sometimes.
Yeah.
But it is a difficult balance because part of the fun is just the over the top kind of hyperbolic way
It's
we
comedy.
talk about it.
Yeah. I think we're
but there is
more
a
for
difference
comedy,
between
too.
actually just like attacking someone.
If
I
you're
don't make
thoughtful
these
about how you
things.
do
I don't
it.
make reviews for them to be seen by the people who are like in the movie or who worked on the movie.
But now it's
like I always
difficult
make
not
them
to.
for like a separate audience. Yeah, I guess it is difficult not to.
Yeah, when
but
you have
that's how I've
enough
always
of an
made
audience.
them. Yeah,
That's
it's
yeah,
just
that's
like
what
I just
changes
feel
it.
like maybe they just shouldn't watch my criticism if they can't like handle it, which is fine. I mean,
Yeah. That's something that I've had to come to terms with just as my audience grows and I have more of a presence online, and I am influencing not just sales but like public perception to some degree within my
Right.
audience of films and filmmakers. So I try at this point especially to be fair. I try to be fair. And like my most recent thing that I did was about that whole Kimba fiasco. And I made sure to say like several times in that review, like, okay, like you have to understand the difference between ignorance and malicious intent. If you don't know whether or not it's ignorance or malicious intent, you should probably assume ignorance. So don't harass these people being like, oh, you intentionally lied about the controversy. Like, you don't know that. None of us know that. They
Yeah.
could just be an idiot. Everybody's a fucking idiot. This controversy has existed for like 25 fucking years and everybody believed it. So you're all stupid too, right? So just try to, yeah, uh, try to do things in a way that's not going to make someone's day worse. But at the same time, I mean, you have to, there's a certain level when you're criticizing where you have to accept like, okay, I have to be able to criticize this part because it's absolutely integral to the criticism itself. So, like, this part might sound mean, but there's no way around it. Like, I have to mention this sort of thing. So you have to pick your battles and decide what to cover and how to cover it, how to phrase it, especially.
Yeah, phrasing's a big thing. It took me a long time, many years, to figure out like the most effective way to phrase things without just annoying 50% of people just by the way you phrase it. That is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Just the way you use language is
I know
huge.
exactly what you mean. Because sometimes it's like people will take issues even though they don't really disagree with you, but just because of how you said it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not saying things or saying something too much. Like it is difficult. And how do you guys feel about? Because I don't really think you have a responsibility over the emotional well-being of the people you criticize, really. But I think there is some kind of responsibility that comes with audiences that are of a certain size and above. That there is something to it. On one hand, you like your fans and what they do is nothing to you're not responsible for the things they do. But at the same time, the things you say may be influencing them in some way. So I guess that does give it some inherent power. So if you're abusing it and being a dickhead, that's just a bad example to set.
I mean, like your audience is like an extension of you to some degree, and like the type of attitude that you put out there can be reflected in your audience to some degree. Like nobody has an audience that is perfect. Nobody has an audience that is 100% socially well-adjusted people that aren't just complete dicks, you know? There's going to be those in every audience, but it's important to try and make sure that you're not cultivating an audience of exclusively those types of people. And that can be reflected in, I guess, the content that you make or your attitude, I guess, your outlook, and how clearly, I guess, you make that.
Right. Or something with the sole purpose of just going after someone.
Yeah, sometimes it can be tricky, which is like, like I never, that's why I tried to be so careful with my Kimba thing, is because, you know, I expected it to be something where people were arguing about it on the internet afterwards. Right?
Yeah, you know, eyes are going to be on it. Yeah,
it's a big topic, or it has been anyway. So yeah, just my advice is just put some thought into things beforehand. Don't just shit something out without being critical of yourself and without properly thinking about something, and understand that, yeah, to some degree, there's nothing you can do to a certain extent, but also there are things you can do to prevent these things, or at least make them not as bad as they could be. Like if I didn't censor a lot of the names in that video, then that might have added to some of the negative experiences that they had. And so when I was showing the different YouTube clips, I would censor out the names of channels that were just individual people, and I would leave up the names of channels that were just companies, where it's like this isn't an individual person. This is like a fucking clickbait company here. So like if people want to leave a negative comment on those, whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because those are just about making money. You're actually helping them, because they'll go on the site and like comment something negative, but at least they'll make ad revenue. Those sites, those companies, they don't care.
Yeah, like Smosh Ian, who was
Yeah.
pretty upset about my video I made about
That was weird.
his movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I said he was like the best thing in the movie, but I guess it's just he's so intimately attached to the project, you can't help but have an emotional kind of involvement in it. But
Yeah.
he did choose to go on the video. I mean, what am I supposed to lie to try and protect his feelings? Like, it's a product just selling like a movie for people to watch and pay for and enjoy. But if I think it's bad, like, am I not allowed to communicate that with my platform? And
When you have a channel like that, you might only be used to just positive feedback because it's a lot of children watching that aren't
True.
really thinking critically about what you produce. And then you produce like an actual movie, and it's like, yeah, most of the people watching are going to be your child-based audience that would love anything you do no matter what it is, but you're also kind of throwing it out there on platforms where it is exposed to more people, and if other people have a perspective about it and are like, yeah, this is kind of bullshit, they should be allowed to share that perspective. And at the end of the day, if you're making art, it should be for yourself. It shouldn't be for anybody else. If you've made something that you're proud of, Adam Wingard or anybody, if you love the things that you've made, it shouldn't matter what I say about them. It shouldn't matter if other people don't connect to the same thing in the same way or had a different experience if it means something to you. And that's the philosophy that I've had, and I'm having with, my album's being released like in a couple weeks, hopefully. If it doesn't connect with everybody,
Awesome.
It doesn't really matter because I know that I've made something that it connects with me. And there are going to be other people out there that feel the same way about it that I do, but not everybody has to. So, if other people don't like it, then it doesn't really matter. Like, who are you making it for?
Yeah, I think we're all pretty much in agreement then that we're not responsible over the emotions of those that we talk about to a certain degree.
Yeah, somebody tried to blame me for Adam Wingard leaving Twitter, even though all I did, I just posted that rant on Death Note, and that's all I did at the time. And I just said he's a trash director, and I don't like him. But
Right. What
I
Uncle
didn't
Ben
tweet
said,
at him.
Great power comes great responsibility, and it's a learning process. You slowly learn how to say
Yeah.
these things,
Yeah.
so you can cause as minimal damage as possible and get your point across.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a long time to
Mhm.
figure that out.
Mhm.
Responsibility's cool, but there's more things in life. Like getting your dick right off fucking knife.
MC Right, everybody.
God damn. What about this one then from Adam Needs a Haircut?
Nope,
Hey guys,
Like
what
not during COVID.
what do you think are overused adjectives in reviews? My example is the word gritty. Whenever something is even slightly dark, they use that word and it drives me nuts.
Some bad adjectives
Gritty.
in reviews?
Yeah, I would extend it to just in reviews what kind of discussion and
Yeah.
phrasing and words get on your nerves, sort of thing.
I don't like overrated and underrated. I don't know if I probably
Yeah.
said that before, but like I just don't like. I don't know what metric you're going by. If you're saying something's
Yeah.
underrated or
Yeah,
overrated.
it's difficult.
You
Sometimes
could say Scott
difficult to
Pilgrim's
define.
underrated because it didn't make its money back in the box office, but it also made like almost $100 million probably, like at the end of the day. So I bet plenty of people saw it.
Yeah, and then it's like, are you talking about the film's success or its general like reception? Like the people
Yeah.
that saw
Yeah.
it loved it, but not many people saw it, sort of thing.
What it means to me, maybe like
Yeah.
a film that maybe like a lot of people I know haven't seen, so I would call it underrated.
Yeah, I usually get annoyed at that phrasing when I see a post on the movies subreddit of somebody calling a movie underrated that was like a gigantic critical and commercial success. It's like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? Just because you didn't know about this until a week ago doesn't mean it's underrated. What are you talking
Right.
about?
They're like watching Transformers movies their whole
Yeah.
life, and they're like, this is amazing. This is the most underrated movie. I've
Prestige
never
is
even heard
so
of it.
underrated.
My dad never mentioned it to me. But I don't think, like, again, that term can be used in some contexts, and I think as long as you're explaining why it's overrated and like by what metric you're going by, I guess you could use that criticism. There's always exceptions to these kinds of things, I think. So I don't want to discount like anyone's phrasing or anything. I think everyone has a point of view and a way of saying things.
Yeah.
I don't want to discourage anyone.
I used to take beef with the word poignant, not as much anymore. But I guess my initial distaste for that word being used in reviews was not so much the word itself, but a lot of reviewers essentially just tacking on words like that when it seems like they're just trying to bullshit a review out and they don't really have anything to say about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's lots of like phrases like that, like describing something as subversive, you know. That's a meme, the subverting expectations thing. But it's like it's an integral storytelling aspect. So sometimes you like have to talk about it and you have to use it, but the words are they're like poison to such a degree where you're kind of trapped with some of this stuff.
Pretentious, I think, is one like that.
I feel like
It's
there's
overused.
a handful of reviewers in traditional media that are treating their reviews like an English assignment, where they're basically they're poetic in their phrasing, but I read through the entire thing and I don't feel like they've said much about the film at all. Like sometimes they'll stick to like describing parts of the movie, but they haven't really given me anything extra to chew on in terms of like an interpretation or what exactly they liked about it or disliked about it. And it feels like they kind of just like waltzed their way through the review and like just bullshit this entire thing out, where it's like, yeah, that's a great English assignment, but what I want out of a review is something a bit more, I don't know, personal, or I guess what's the word?
Just
like
some
a
points.
good piece of writing that stands on its own that you want to read. It's like interesting. Like Roger Ebert's reviews have tons of personality.
Yeah. He's very poetic, but he says a lot. At the same time.
Yeah, he's not
I just think
like,
that sometimes people are poetic at the expense of actually saying anything substantive about the film, where they like dance around and they aren't as frank or as concise about things in a clear way. And this isn't everybody in traditional media, just like there's some people that clearly went to journalism school and it just shows in their reviews. And it's like, I think that's part of the reason why YouTube is such a powerful tool for film criticism with younger people, is because they're able to connect with it a lot more. Like it's clearer how someone feels about a movie, or like you can show clips of the movie to illustrate what you want to say about it.
Yeah, hearing someone's voice and their personality comes across as more honest.
And it's like a different form of entertainment too. It's not just a review. It's like you're creating a video, like you're creating art.
You're being
in
funny.
Itself
You're putting on
editing
a
or
bit.
personality or style.
I'm putting on a bit. Being funny. On top of it.
Yeah, and the barrier of entry is much lower. You know, not everyone can write for Empire magazine, but anyone can upload a video to YouTube, and that just makes it more relatable.
You just got to have a point and be interesting.
Yeah.
Get some good production value.
Hopefully.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's not even important, honestly, Ralph.
You're right. Film it on a potato.
Individual words. I'm okay with poignant now. I've grown into the word being acceptable to use.
It's grown on you. Okay.
If we're talking about video game reviews, if it's compared to Dark Souls, that usually triggers me a little.
Oh, yeah. Video games is a whole other cake. Describing things as immersive in video games, that's quite a go-to one. Like those other phrases you were saying.
I just remembered one that I can't possibly. I have to mention this.
What?
Comparing films to Jaws or Psycho. That I remember. Yeah, there was a big section in my Frozen 2010 ski lift horror movie review where I included a big compilation of every time people have compared a horror movie to Jaws or Psycho. It's just like, we'll do for grandparents what Jaws did to the ocean. Like, that's so lame. Everything's just compared to Jaws in horror movies and Psycho. That's my answer, I guess. I almost forgot about that. Holy shit.
That's a good one.
And it's still happening.
I bet there'll be loads.
It still happens all the time. It doesn't stop. You'd think it's like, it's enough of a meme now. Maybe just in my audience, I don't know. But it's just irritating when people keep saying that. Did you have one, Alex?
Subverting expectations and that kind of thing. And like immersive and saying things like, I was left speechless of it. I've never seen that that whole Reddit thing like you mentioned, where these top posts tend to be hyperbolic in ways that kind of oversell and over exaggerate. Wow, I just found this little indie gem, and then they just talk about some shit like fucking Psycho or Jaws. So what are you talking about? This is the greatest thing I've ever found. Yeah, right. All right, I get it.
All right, you want to do one more?
Let's end on this one then from Earth Zealous Ideal. In my high school, I seem to be the only person who cares about films outside of Marvel. The people I talk to have never even heard of Scorsese, Kubrick, or Fincher. Statistics also show that Gen Z doesn't really go to the movies. Do you worry that cinema is in jeopardy due to a seemingly large majority of people not caring?
Oh my god. But it's not going to make enough money to sustain itself, the film industry. There's so few people who care about cinema.
Yeah, I guess this is a thing, like, surely this has just been a thing the whole time. Like, there are people that are massively into hobbies, and there are people that, the vast majority of people who absorb movies, like, they're not dismantling it in the same way, you know? Like, the crowds that are going out, and they're like, what's playing tonight?
Right.
Yeah, more casual, like, and I think it's a similar thing for a lot of, like, entertainment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone enjoys music to some degree, but that doesn't mean everyone appreciates the, you know, the lyrics and like the different instruments and the
mixing.
You know, every technical aspect.
Right.
Yeah,
You're getting a
every
different
technical
experience out
aspect
of
you
it.
can go into. Yeah.
And the experience of watching movies is changing. People like TV series now. They like Netflix movies and miniseries.
Yeah.
There's a whole audience for that.
I mean,
People don't go to the movies as
Vertical
much.
cinema.
Yeah.
people are always
It used
going
to
to
be
be
the only
finding
way to
ways
watch
to kill
something.
time, and movies is one of those things.
Yeah.
So just because
It is that
people
way.
aren't as familiar with older directors and you know, more classic cinema, it doesn't mean that people aren't watching movies. Like, people are going
Yeah.
on Netflix and being like, okay, what's something, I know this actor, let's click on that. But that's how it's always been. That whether people are doing that at the theaters
Yeah.
or at fucking Blockbuster, like, the general population has always just been like completely unaware of who directed a film unless it's a big name like Tarantino or Christopher Nolan sort of thing. That doesn't necessarily mean the industry is dying. You could make an argument for theaters maybe dying. That's a different conversation. And also, remember, you just
Yeah.
said you're in high
Yeah.
school. So, I mean, like, there might not be that many people, especially at that age, that are as familiar with older directors or as passionate about movies. Sometimes it takes a while for people to, you know, explore those things or get more interested
Yeah,
or
find that crowd.
discover it as a passion, I
true.
guess. So the best thing
Mhm.
you can do is try to convince people to check these things out. If you have friends that don't know dick about movies, and you have a South Korean film like Old Boy or like Parasite that are just so massively universally praised no matter who watches them, fucking invite them over and show them a movie. They might start loving
Mhm.
other movies, you know? If you're the one to take initiative and introduce them to those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think cinema is in jeopardy. I almost think the opposite. I think the venues in which you can watch movies is getting more diverse because of these streaming wars. They
Yeah.
all want content to stream and they want good movies to stream. So we're seeing just some of these incredible originals like Roma or The Irishman.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff of that caliber is coming out now.
It's easier to create
So-
and distribute independent films than any other point in history.
Mm-hmm.
So you have
There are
more
always
voices.
large franchises too that I think are going to do well, like Marvel, Jurassic Park, that I think will do well in theaters. I mean, that maybe, I don't know, the future of cinema in terms of like the theaters are going to happen, like what's going to happen with theaters.
that's the conversation to me.
Yeah. But when they open again, we'll see what happens. We'll see if Tenet does well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, James Bond is at the end of the year, other blockbusters, and we'll see if
God,
it's
I
even a
forgot about that.
viable, thing.
Yep.
If they can make their money back.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Fuck COVID.
I know, it's boring now.
And fuck
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. Get out of here, Chris. Making me choose between getting ill or watching your goddamn movie.
Yeah. I'm just waiting. I'm not going to see that.
Can I just hold on to it for a little bit, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, digital distribution is a great thing. Kids are still watching shit, even if they're not
It's
as
great.
well
It's a
versed in
legitimized
what they
thing
could be
now.
watching.
I mean, I released my movie on VOD years ago, and now it's like everyone's releasing a movie on VOD. I'm like, oh, it feels legitimized.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
cool. It's cool to be like on that. Like my movie Amazon Prime, it says that
Yeah, it's
thing. I'm like,
awesome.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
If it's a good feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So good digital. I love digital and all that, but still, theaters are. It's a great experience that I don't want to go away. And I'm sure if you could do it safely, then there's no issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a conversation that constantly happens, you know, like how many people say, yeah, music's shit now. And what they actually mean is just like the radio station is different to what it was when I was a kid when I liked it.
Yeah, if you want to find art that you enjoy, whether it's music or cinema, you have to go out of your way to find it. And part of that, you know, you can make it easier by watching a reviewer that you like that gives good recommendations for things that you might not have heard about otherwise. Wink, wink. So yeah, like that can make it easier for you if you don't know how to find these sorts of things. Otherwise, like, you know, the tools are there. If you love directors, go to their IMDb. What do they have in production? Search those things up. Do film festivals if you can. Film festivals are a great way to find new movies.
Letterboxd. Make people make lists on there.
Oh yeah, lists
and share it with their friends.
Yeah,
that's a good way to. I found some movies from there.
Yeah,
some.
Well, just delving into
sort through a bunch of trolls
of
and
IMDb,
crap,
you find some wacky stuff if you go down.
IMDb,
down
you find some lists.
Yeah, I don't think cinema's dying.
No.
I think
it's an ever-changing thing, and it'll be very different 20 years from now than it is now. But like a big thing is like film criticism is kind of in the hands of everyone, and everyone can talk about movies and recommend movies, make lists, whatever.
Yeah,
it's like in the hands of everyone. I think that's a huge like changing factor. That the audiences are a huge promotional tool. More movies should utilize that. They don't really.
Yeah, they're not like the video game industry, which is kind of a bit more switched on. So like on YouTube, it's just full of like you can do anything you want with like game footage and cut it up, and because of the transformative stuff. But it's a bit more
video games are changing all the time, and no one cares. Like now, this whole like battle royale system where you release the games for free and you charge people money in game for points and skins and all that. Like that wasn't around 5 years ago. It's like, the world changes so quick in that field. They're so on top of it, and movies just aren't. They aren't as connected with what people want.
All right, I guess
who's recommended a movie?
That wraps things up.
Yeah.
We have a film recommendation from me, and I've got a bit of a confession to make.
Yeah.
So around episode, I think 60, so a long time ago, because we do this every 2 weeks, I started vigorously writing down in my notes the order in which the recommendations would be. And for things like Matt Johnson recommending one and things like that, the order in which we have them, I've strategically ensured that I would be the one to recommend for episode 69, which is the next episode.
Cheeky monkey.
So
really?
So it is my recommendation for 69, and I made sure that would happen. And I don't know if you've seen this or not. Either way, I haven't seen it in a while, and I'd like to revisit it. It's a film called Short Bus, all one word. It is from director John Cameron Mitchell. Content warning: there are unsimulated sex acts in the film, and if you play this film and just don't do it with your door open if you don't want someone thinking you're watching porn. But it is a film. It's like there's pornographic elements in the film, but it is still a film. It's a story. It has characters.
Wow.
So don't watch it with Nana.
What a way to describe it.
Yeah, don't watch it with your parents. Yeah. All right. And
Yeah,
neither of you have seen this?
No, I haven't.
It's in my watch list, but I'm ready for this.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too difficult to find. I know it's not like a huge movie. There should only really be one cut. I've got the Blu-ray. And next episode, Short Bus. We will have a spoiler discussion on this very pornographically graphic film for episode 69. Awesome. And by that point, new Charlie Kaufman movie will be out. If both of you want to watch that before next episode.
Maybe Tenet.
Yep.
Love to make sure we talk about that as well. All right.
I was thinking Boogie Nights for 69. But
Yeah, you know what?
Showgirls would have been good
that
too.
was a.
were you thinking of one, Alex?
That
for
was a
69?
thought for sure.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that one yet, and I know I would love it, but I also wanted to revisit this, and I assumed that you two haven't seen it, and I thought it would make for an interesting discussion.
I
anyway.
haven't seen it.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We should talk about Boogie Nights at some point, because that's like one of PTA's that I haven't seen, but
Episode 669.
episode 96. Upside down 69.
Yeah.
If you want to support the show, sardonicast.com. Sign up for premium, $2 a month. You'll get these episodes early as they're edited. Also, patreon.com/sardonicast. Also, we have merch. Merch link in the description. Thank you so much for listening. I cannot believe you listened to Sardonicast. I cannot believe you listened to the whole episode of Sardonicast.
Have a good week.
How could you have done this? How could you have listened to a whole episode of Sardonicast?
Yeah. How many people do you think get to this bit? There must be like a special
It's
like.
a
How many people
podcast.
listen
I
to the
don't
whole
know.
thing you're asking?
I'm assuming people listen to most of the podcast.
Well, I'm
Why
just
would
saying,
you just
know,
shut
there
it off
might be-
before it's over?
You never know what some people are like. They might have an emergency on their hands. You know.
Yeah, every episode.
Yeah, you know. It's a crazy world we live in out there.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So long. Take care. Have a good week. Bye-bye.